Now, we have our commission, which needs an act for it to operate. So it cannot start operating from August 2013, because work on the act has to take place either within government and then within Parliament itself. The due processes have to take place. So these have to take place for the act to be in place. Hence, when the Constitution says after, it was taking cognizant of the fact that these due processes have to take place. May 2014, we get Parliament having taken up the issue of having the commissioners for the NPRC. They asked for nominations which closed May 2014 for the commissioners now. See how the progression is taking place. July 2015, that's when Parliament holds interviews for the commissioners for the NPRC. When they were done with that process, they then sent a list of 12 to the president, so that out of the 12, he can then pick those that will be appointed as commissioners. And these commissioners were then sworn in 24 February 2016. So that was a process taking place towards the operationalization of the NPRC. On the side of government, after the cabinet had approved the principles of the bill, that was 2014, sorry, we get the bill, the principles, going to the AG's office, and ONHRI is working with the AG's office to come up with a draft bill. First is the principles that were accepted by cabinet. Work on the draft bill takes place, several meetings, several versions of the bill, and the bill was taken to cabinet. Cabinet, we worked on a draft bill, and this is how it is. Due processes also have to take place in cabinet. The cabinet committee on legislation also has to look at it. And when it was approved, September 2015, that's when the document was passed to Parliament. Parliament has to make sure that the bill is printed and it has to be gazetted before public scrutiny of the bill can take place. The bill was gazetted 18 December 2015. Even us in ONHRI, who have been following this process, were not aware that it had been gazetted. 4 January 2016, because it's an issue that we are working on, we phoned Parliament, where are we? And we are told your bill was gazetted 18 December. And I remember at that time phoning 1 or 2 colleagues in civil society to say, guys, are you aware the bill has been gazetted? And guys ran around to get copies of the bill. Because now we will say, let's go through the bill. Maybe when there are more people going through the bill, we have more ideas on how it can be enriched. So that's the bit on the background of the bill. 4 January, Mr. Mahia assumes the government has made a deliberate move not to inform us about the bill, and he's busy. That's when they arranged the various meetings to inform the communities. I'm saying so because he told me about it. He thought government had ambushed partners. But I'm saying even us, ONHRI, who've been working on it, we're not aware until 4 January that the bill had been gazetted. So, it's been gazetted 4 January, and then we say, so what are the next moves? Parliament is on a break. We started work on 2 February, and we are liaising with the Clerk of Parliament's office. What are the procedures? And they say the responsible minister has to come and present the bill. So we say that's fine. 2 February, Parliament starts business. 11 February, we've made arrangements with Parliament that the VP should go and make the first reading on the bill. So 11 February, VP goes to make the first reading on the bill, right? Bill goes to Parliamentary Legal Committee, and the committee notes that there are a number of issues in the bill that are contrary to the Constitution. We get that first report on the 29th of February, and then our commissioners had been sworn in 24 February. They also looked at the bill, and they also noted some issues, and they made their representations to Parliament, right? And when Parliament looked at some of the issues, they also felt they had to be part of the advice report, and they revised the advice report, and we got a revised advice report in around 15 March. By then, there are plans in Parliament to go out and get public views on the bill. It's now a public document, and people with views on the bill are free to voice their issues. So Parliament makes arrangements for the public hearings, and they started early April, I think, but it was just for a week until 20 April. They are out there working on getting people's views on the bill. Meanwhile, because we've received the advice report, we sit down with the VP. VP, we need to make responses to these issues. On this issue, what should we do? On this issue, what should we do? And there are discussions, and there are concessions. Okay, if this is what has been noted, let's concede we need to be in line with the Constitution. And representations on those issues were submitted to Parliament. First time, I think the response was directed to the chair of the PLC. Then when we followed up, have you received our response? So the issue was, if you wrote it direct to him, maybe he hasn't had time to see it. But write to the clerk. And after noting some other issues, we revised our amendments and we wrote to the clerk. And this was almost the same time when the public hearings were going out. So when the VP then realized, yes, we've made concessions, but however, the public hearings have been conducted on the basis of the bill as it was gazetted before we made these concessions. The issues that are coming out are not now representing the concessions we've made. And now when you look at the document, it's not representing the concessions that have been made. So he felt it was necessary to withdraw the bill, work on it, and since there were so many issues that were coming out in the papers where people were saying, we need this to be attended to, we need this to be attended to, it was felt that the document had to be worked on again, so that at least it reflects the views of the people. Initially, before this whole process started, ONHRI had conducted public hearings, I think 2010, asking people, what sort of a bill would you want? But now when you look at the environment then, and maybe when you look at the environment now, that's about 6-7 years ago. Things have changed. People have become more alert to national issues. So yes, the VP considered that we had to take into account people's views on the bill. We cannot have it passing like that. So these last few days, we've been having meetings, we've been having conversations on the bill with various stakeholders, and out of those, we've been picking issues which we still feel need to be incorporated into the bill. So after the public hearings, the VP then said, let's write to the clerk, and we get composite views of what the people have been saying. And I'm glad some of them are actually coming out on the document that we've just seen. A response on the reviews has been received from the Clerk of Parliament on the views gathered on what the people were saying. And we are saying these will assist us to enrich the document. We've also asked several stakeholders, some of them in this room, to say, colleagues, we are reworking on the bill. Could we have your inputs as to those issues you feel need to be part of the draft bill? And we are receiving inputs from colleagues, and we hope if we still have colleagues who haven't made their submissions, they're still welcome. On our side, we've said, guys, let's go through these inputs, because we want to be sure as we rework on the bill, we incorporate these views. And we've even sent copies of the documents that we have received to the AG's office to say, colleagues, can you also look through these documents to see the issues that have come out from our various stakeholders, so that as we sit down to rework on the bill, we take them on board. So our first meeting, we are hopeful, should be next week, so that we start reworking on the bill. Our hope is that since we are not starting afresh, some of the issues in the bill were accepted. Some, since we've made those concessions, we want to believe those are also acceptable. Because then out of the views that were coming from the public, that's when the concessions were made. So some of them have been corrected. So we feel we are not starting afresh. And our hope is that as soon as we start meeting, we should have the bill, the draft bill in place soon. However, because the draft bill is going to incorporate new issues that have come out of the public meetings, it has to go through the usual process of us coming up with an act. What this means is that when the drafting is done, it will be presented to Cabinet. So Cabinet is informed about it. Then they refer it to the Cabinet Committee on Legislation. If they are satisfied that all the issues have been taken on board, then that's when they will say, let it go to Parliament. From Parliament, we're starting the process, first reading. We don't know what is going to happen in terms of public hearings. Those are parliamentary processes. First reading, second reading, until we have the acts in place. But what this has done is for us to ensure that we incorporate more views from the public and enrich the document. And in the process, we've also been getting views from our various stakeholders, particularly those who work in the communities where the people are. And out of those views, at least we know we'll come up with a better document. So as we stand today, our first meeting hopefully will be next week, so that we start the process. And our hope is that before the end of the year, we will be somewhere in Parliament with the bill. And if I have erred, I hope the honourables will also correct me of the parliamentary processes that have to take place with the bill.